First of all, Ghanaians and South Africans, please accept my full salute.
White people are being persecuted in South Africa. Oh, they are taking land from white farmers. Everybody started panicking, like, what is happening in South Africa?
Hi, welcome to another interesting, intriguing, expository, and most importantly, educative episode right here on this platform of Life of an African Woman. Feel free to call me Victoria, Vicky for short, or Chinyere, right? And if you are new here, you're highly welcome. For my returning subscribers, viewers, I truly and deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for the love and the support. And at this point, if you find this place interesting, if you like what I do here, don't make it your last. Stay subscribed, turn on the bell icon, and share this video for more exposition. So with all this being said, let's quickly delve into what we're here for today. Now, the thing is, we know it's been back and forth of Chidinma's issue. If you've not seen those videos, they're on my channel. I'm not definitely going to go into details because it's well explained in those videos in my channel, right? But I feel like most people are still yet, especially Nigerians, are still yet to understand the people, the country called South Africans, especially the Black South Africans. And this is no curse to discrimination, racism, or whatever. Personally, I see every human being as equal. I see every human being as one, no matter your color, no matter your races. But what I do not like is anyone from any race, any color, undoing his or her fellow human being, because he don't have the right to do so unjustly, right? You didn't create any life, and you don't have the right to dehumanize and abuse or take any life, as the case may be. Neither do I support any form of fraud, criminality, or bad behavior any day, anytime. And this is not to say I'm perfect. We are all born imperfect, but our ability to stand out better, learning and unlearning the bad behavior that we are humanly and naturally born into, right? Now, the thing is, most people do not understand South Africans and what they have been through and what they are going through. I've said this times without number, but I always want to put it out here so that the more I show, the more I talk about it and show it, people tend to understand. And with time, I believe my fellow Nigerians will come to terms with this. And for today, I think I'm not the only one that have a thing to say about what South Africans have been through or are still going through. We're gonna get into full details of this exposition, but let's take out some time, first of all, as a human and a proud citizen of my country, Nigeria, from the continent of Africa, the western part of Africa, right? I want to deeply put out my sincere condolence to the soldiers, the heroes from South Africa, who definitely lost their life as a result of standing up to defend the Democratic Republic of Congo. And guys, let's just take a minute, first of all, and give them their due respect, acknowledge them, and I will be right back. May their souls and the souls of all fallen heroes in the continent of Africa, particularly from South Africa, rest in peace. May they rest in perfect peace. Once again, my sincere and deepest condolence to their families, to their relatives, and to every citizen of South Africa. It's a very deep pain that time cannot heal. It's everlasting. Most people will not understand. And to think of the fact that these people died in the course of defending a cause and standing up from their country to defend other country is the deepest pain ever. And the good people of Congo will not forget this, right? Neither will other citizens who sincerely understand forget this act and service to humanity, a sacrifice. May their soul rest in peace. Now, guys, moving on, I'm definitely going to play a clip of a brief, idea, understanding of what South Africans have been through. And I will come back again and touch more on this Chidinma's issue based on a similar case from a Zimbabwean, yes, that had the same identity crisis issue, identity fraud issue, and how the South African government did handle it, I think some months back, about 10 months or thereabout. This was even before Chidinma's issue. Then I will come back and really touch more on the whole issue that I am bringing on the table today for us to deliberate, react, analyze, and give our personal opinion, input, perspective, and what have you. Let's click this clip and I will be right back.
White people are being persecuted in South Africa. Oh, they are taking land from white farmers. Everybody started panicking, like, what is happening in South Africa? Is there another xenophobic attack? Let me quote him actually. He said, South Africa is confiscating land and treating a certain class of people very badly. A massive human rights violation at a minimum is happening for all to see. Massive. United States will not stand for it. I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa. Guys, it turns out that Trump is referring to the government effort to finally right decades of wrongdoing against black South Africans. I'm sure that you guys know that white people were not originally from South Africa. Like, they migrated in the late 17th century from Netherlands, France, England, Germany, in short from Europe. I mean, they were immigrants in South Africa, but they forcefully colonized the people. Actually, no. They enslaved the owners of the land, the black South Africans. This is something that Donald Trump doesn't know, by the way, so you're welcome. And I'm not exaggerating, by the way, with the word enslave. You can Google it. Did white people enslave South Africans? And you will see that, yes, white Europeans enslaved South Africans. It was the Dutch that introduced slavery to the Cape Colony. That was what they called it at the time in 1652. You will not believe that it lasted until 1834, 182 years after they said they ended slavery, but that the slaves will still be in the possession of their owners as apprentices. Wow, South Africans, you guys have suffered. Fast forward to 1913, they came up with what they called the Natives Land Act that literally pushed all the black people in South Africa to certain parts of the country, making sure that they occupied only 8% of their own land. Can you imagine? And this act restricted them from owning land everywhere else in their own country. I can't even imagine white people forcefully taking lands from Nigerians and then limiting us to only 8% of our country. And by the way, where they were relocated to was very strategic. They were put at like borders of major cities in order to make sure that they could easily come into the cities where white people lived to work for them. And by work, I mean to clean for them, to cook for them, to take care of their children. Basically, everything that you use a slave for. And they were made to work on white people's farms, which was actually their land, but now they were cultivating it for the white people. And you know, the sad thing is, if you go to South Africa today, you can still see that segregation. I mean, they're literally separated by meters. When I went to South Africa, I saw it, I was shocked. So on one side, you have beautiful homes with backyards and electricity, running water. On the other side, not even far, you have slums, and it's still like that. And then by 1948, when the National Party came to power, all of them are white, by the way, they literally wrote segregation into their law. Apartheid was established, which lasted until the early 1990s. And it wasn't just about black people not allowed to use their toilets. No. The government, consisting of only white people, passed a total of 148 apartheid laws during those years. They didn't pass all of them at once, but over the years, they started passing all kinds of laws about things that black people were not allowed to do in their own country. In total, they passed 148 apartheid laws, including mandating black people to carry pass books. This is not passport, they call them pass books, that will state where they are allowed to work and the places that they are allowed to go to. In their own country, they had restricted mobility. Just Imagine that. So if they go anywhere else that is not written in their passbook, they could be arrested. The white minority basically controlled where black people could live, where they could walk, even where they could worship. They were not, of course, they were not allowed to use the same toilets as white people. If they were working at a white person's house and they needed to pee, they had to keep it in. They had to hold it in until they got to where black people were allowed to pee. It was very similar to what African Americans went through in America. The only difference is they were going through it in their own country. They were not allowed to use the same movie theater. Black students were educated in a separate system that was considered inferior. Housing was allocated by white people based on race. Employment was allocated based on race. Interracial marriage was not even allowed at all. It was illegal for you to date a white person if you were black. Millions of South Africans were forcibly removed from their homes so that white people could occupy those lands and turned it into their own towns. Can you imagine that they had white-only churches at that time? And they had white pastors who claimed that God supported apartheid. Just imagine. And while all this was happening, by the way, they were exploiting the diamond wealth of the country, making profit on both ends, because since they were already in control, they were already in charge, so they were exporting it as if it was their diamond. So the majority of the profit was going to the white colonial powers. The local people saw very little benefit, and they had to endure harsh working conditions in the mines. They were the one doing the legwork, but the white people made the main profit because they were exporting it as if it's theirs. And of course, they were shipping it to their countries, to their continent, so they were making profits on both ends. And a lot of people will tell you today that so many European countries, so many Western countries were developed by the natural resources that were stolen from Africa. Now, the worst part is black people were not allowed to become lawful citizens of their own country. They were not allowed to be full citizens. And since they were not even considered full citizens, they were not allowed to participate in politics. Not just that, they had no voting rights. I mean, they were not allowed to vote in their own country. And of course, they were not given international passports. Remember, they've already restricted their movement, so traveling abroad was not easily allowed. And this went on until the early 1990s when apartheid officially ended and a democratic government was formed in 1994. Hopefully, though, this gives you an insight into why a lot of Africans still today don't understand the justification for xenophobia, because so many African countries actually stood by South Africa when they were going through all this, fighting for their independence. Nigeria was in the forefront of fighting for their liberation, to the point that Nigeria was issuing international passports and facilitating travel for South Africans seeking to leave the country under the oppressive regime by providing them with Nigerian passports. I've seen all kinds of arguments, some people saying that the reason some South Africans, and not all of them by the way, don't misquote me, the reason why some South Africans don't like other black Africans is because they're still healing from apartheid. So it's hard for them when they see other black people like them come into their country and thrive regardless of the system. But the black Africans are not the enemy. But I digress. Now, everything that I said is just history. I have nothing against any white South African, but I needed to, give you this background story for you to understand why now they are trying to get their land back. In any case, it's been 31 years now since the end of apartheid. But do you know that till today, the vast majority of private farmland in South Africa, 72% to be precise, is still owned by the country's white minority, 7% of the population, but they own 72% of the land. I mean, black people have been hoping for their land to be given back to them since the end of the apartheid. They've been debating this for decades. So many black people are upset. So finally, they passed a land expropriation law in January of this year that aims to address the legacy of colonialism in apartheid. And by the way, the law that they passed in January, the one that Trump is upset about, does not say that land will be seized arbitrarily. No, they are actually targeting lands that are not being used, and they are also saying that there will be an agreement with the owner. Any land expropriations would still have to go through South Africa's independent courts.
There is no intention of the state to expropriate any land that is being used, that is being productive. Residential property, commercial property, farmers, mines are not going to be affected. You can only expropriate in circumstances where there is no current use of the property. There are instances where it says expropriation without compensation could take place. Those include things like where the state or organs of state owns land, but they don't need to hold on to it because they don't need them to exercise their core functions.
Meanwhile, I've also seen the video of Julius Malema chanting, "Kill the boa, kill the farmer" at his stadium in 2023. I do not support him singing.
Zimbabwe national Kudukwa Mpofu has been arrested for fraud. He was employed as CFO of the Northwest government in 2021, despite holding fraudulent residence permits. Our reporter Bafedile Morane spoke to the Northwest Development Board chairperson on this.
2021 in April, there was already advanced processes of recruiting Mr. Mpofu into the NWDC, of which he started working for the NWDC in May 2021. And during that period, Mr. Mpofu presented a permit, which is a matter that is subject for an investigation and a matter that is questionable now. And later in 2023, when we had a vacancy of a CFO, we started the process of the recruitment, and Mr. Mpofu was among the top 3 candidates who were appointable, and we then tasked the people within the Human Resource Department to go and do all the verification, and we were told that it's all above board and we can be able to appoint Mr. Mpofu. It is then that the board took a decision to appoint Mr. Mpofu to become the CFO of the NWDC. If you would understand is that permanent residence holders do not require work permits. They have the right to work, they've got the right to study, they've got the right to own a property in South Africa. The only right that is limited to them is the right to participate in elections. And therefore, when we got to know that he's a permanent residence holder, we felt that he acquires those rights. We were not privy to the fact that there could be some fraudulent activities around the permanent residence holding. And we later learned that because of the delays in Home Affairs to issue him with an ID, he has taken the matter to court, which is the matter that we believe is still sub judice, and he was then given a court order on the 30th of June that instructs Home Affairs to process his payments, residency properly. And we also know that he's going back to court on the 9th of May to make a follow-up in terms of the court order. The disappointment that we are having on our side is for Home Affairs not being able to defend the matter properly when it was heard in court last year, and now wanting to defend it. But be as it may, we welcome the decision by the minister to institute the special investigation unit on the matter.
First of all, Ghanaians and South Africans, please accept my full salute. Now, a number of people would say that I'm actually moving to seek for the favors of South Africans and Ghanaians. But I'll tell you why I give them this full salute. Listen, I would rather go to war with 30 South Africans than go to war with 1 million Nigerians. I just sounded like Achilles in Troy when he told his men that he would rather go to war with them, his men, his 50 men, that he would rather go to war with them than go to war with any army in the world. I would rather go to war with 40 Ghanaians, 30 Ghanaians, than go to war with 1 million Nigerians. Why did I say this? You see, there's something you have to understand. There's something that Nigerians don't understand that I keep on telling them. When you want to protest or run a demonstration with Nigerians, the people you truly have to consider, or what you truly have to consider, are the people you're running this demonstration with than the demonstration itself. Now, what do I mean? A Nigerian, when you see Nigerians trying to fight or agitate or demonstrate or protest against bad governance, NSAS, blah 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 blah, whatever, corruption, blah blah, it's not because of the corruption, it's not because of the unjust system, it's not because of the corrupt system, it's just because the system, that corrupt system, does not favor them. The importance there, underline the word, does not favor them. If it favors them, it doesn't matter how corrupt it is, Nigerians would embrace it. Let me tell you something. It is better. See, I would rather go to war with 30 Ghanaians, with 30 South Africans, than ever go to war with 1 million Nigerians. In fact, if there are no Ghanaians available, if there are no South Africans available, I would rather stay and endure a corrupt system and try as much as possible to live out until these corrupt men eventually pass away, than go and protest or demonstrate with Nigerians, with 1 million Nigerians. That is the extent. But a number of people don't know this. Nigerians, see, let me tell you something. As a criminal, you have no right to contest or protest against criminality. As a corrupt mind, you have no right to protest against corruption. I'm telling you the truth. I obviously say this in most cases. I said, the blood of fools cannot speak against the evil man that shed them. The blood of a fool cannot speak against the evil man that shed them. Like I said, it is the righteousness, the uprightness, and the wisdom that dwells in the blood of Abel, in the blood of Uriah, in the blood of Naboth that spoke against Cain, Ahab and Jezebel and David respectively. It is the righteousness in their blood. The blood of a fool, the blood of a criminal, the blood of an evil man, the blood of an unjust man, the blood of a man without integrity cannot speak against an evil man that shed them. That is why our evil politicians get away with all these bloodsheds. Do you understand? Now, I recall that then, when these NSAS and all these protests from Nigerians wanted to happen, and they were, talking about it, I was just laughing at them. So I told one of my colleagues that this thing is just a facade. The Nigerians are wasting time. And he was like, how? I told him, see, the most important thing you take to a protest is understanding the people you protest with, not the protest itself, not even what you're protesting against. Who are the people you're protesting with? Those are the most important things you must have to consider. You see, for they shall gather, but if the gathering is not of me, they would scatter. If 2 or 3 are gathered in love, not in corruption, in my name, which means love, I will be there in their midst. These things are everywhere. Let's see, read the holy book and you'll see that everything you need in life would work for you. Read that history book. Do you understand? That's code. Do you understand the gist? So, like, one thing I would always say, see, I would rather subscribe to South Africans who are selfless, that are the South Africans that are united, South Africans that are clearly integritous and dignified and honorable. I would rather go to protest with Ghanaians that are peaceful than go to war with 1 million Nigerians. I'd rather go to war with few South Africans and Ghanaians than go to war with Nigerians.
Oh, thank you, my sister Adiola. I love this lady so much because she's one lady that is in the US and she's non-biased. She says things and shows things just the way it is without minding the country. Meanwhile, shout out to her. And as a matter of fact, I would not just want to sit down here and talk about what South Africans have been through just like that without showing at least an insight from that. So thank you, Adiola, for taking time out to break this whole thing down to our knowledge, at least to a layman's understanding. You can now understand. So whether you're a Nigerian, a Zimbabwean, or any citizen from any country, I think at least now you can get to that point where you can begin to relate with what South Africans are going through and why they act and behave the way they do. South Africans that I know that are well groomed and well experienced know how best to even behave more than other countries' citizens that have not even been through 1% of what they have been through and are still going through, especially in the hands of Donald Trump and the US government. Guys, what more can we really say that is good enough to justify what South Africans have been through? What are their crimes? Like, what did they do wrong, different from other countries, right, that still have the same mineral resources, like natural gifts from God and other things as other countries, but yet they are the one bearing the most burden, the most pain, crucibles in Africa, and yet you expect these people to always feel relaxed and feel happy about their situation. Now, it takes a rational, a wise, and a very, very non-biased, non-sentimental individual to understand South Africans as a country and as a people. I likely heard even up to date how Trump is still on their neck. Like, at this point, I want to use the word hashtag free South Africans, free Black South Africans. Let South Africans, Black South Africans breathe. Let them breathe. Let them rest. Because, oh my God, the attack from front, right, center, pressure, everything on these people is alarming. How do you guys cope? How do you guys survive? Because we are not even seeing 1%, 5% of what people have been through and are still going through. And we are like this. And the good thing is that these people will ever choose over and over again to stay in their country and defend their country other than running outside. There are countries that it will be at this point, you won't even find anyone there, but they know what they have, they know their history, and they would always want to stand to defend it, right? And that's why you see them in recent times, they are standing up for themselves and defending their cause. So do not take it hard on South Africans. Oh my God, no matter the citizen you are, these people have been through a lot. And it's not me being emotional, right? But being factual, being realistic. Like, this is unjust. This is all shade of wrong. This is oppression. This is discrimination. This is segregation. This is abuse of all kinds, of all shade and form. Like, I don't even know how best to describe it than saying it is unjust. Absolutely unjust on South Africans, particularly Black South Africans. And you see them still catering for all races in the country. That's why they are called the rainbow country. They marry everybody to themselves and still coexist. Can that really happen in Nigeria? Can that really happen in any other country? Tell me. Now that aside, as if it's not enough, the other clip we watched is still a similar case of Chidinma&Adeshina's identity issue, and you definitely see that it is not today that South Africans have actually been keen on identity, immigration, and citizenship based on their law, what their law states. And time to time, they keep updating and checking up on the law, what it states, and how foreigners, immigrants are taking it and acting upon, right? And that's why it was so devastating, disappointing at the same time when they found out that Chidinma and her mother, Chidinma was spotted in the country and her mother is still in the country. It's a blow and a slap to the Home Affairs, and you don't expect the Home Affairs to take it just like that, because so many organizations, countries are looking up to them. They don't want to be seen in a certain way, different from what they originally know them to be. Right from what I have seen, South Africans have been upright, like just in their cause, in their actions and inactions. They always stand on the ground that if they are doing a thing, carrying out an act or a law, enforcing a law, is always on the path of justice, not injustice. Like, at the end of the day, you do right, you receive right. You do wrong, you receive wrong. So that is literally what they are living up to and living by. But it's unfortunate that in all, they are still being misunderstood, they are still being judged, they are still being tagged. Like, at this point, I want to go with the hashtag Free Black South Africans. Let them breathe. Let them breathe. I can't figure it out. Like, what did they do to deserve all this? What? It's okay. Now, at least this is an eye-opener to know that it is not just about Chidinma Nigerians alone. So many cases like this, if you ask South Africans or those of them who are truly here, they can tell you it's been a thing. And even of recent, a police force that is really keen on corruption, like I learned recently in the comment section from South Africans, have been up and going based on fighting against corruption, and they are not taking it lightly on corrupt and criminal-minded citizens, criminal citizens in the country, illegal. In fact, if you are in any form of crime, it is not going to be easy with you, or definitely safe for you. So the bottom line of the whole matter we are talking about today, and the conclusion is, South Africans already going through a lot. I can't imagine with what a little we are going through in Nigeria, you now add more fear or fire to it. I wonder what it will become. Then correlate and relate with it. So Chidinma's case is not like a fight or a war against Nigeria, but against crime. Let's understand this. And at the end of the day, if Chidinma's mother is being found guilty, faulted, let her face the law so that other citizens can learn. Other citizens can learn. We still have citizens from neighboring countries terrorizing, disrupting, interrupting the peace and the safety of this country. Now to Nigerians, if this kind of thing is happening to us, how do we take it? How are you going to take it? And this tells a lot about Nigerians, how they accept and condone corruption in the highest order. Supporting crime already tells that you have criminal tendency and you're a criminal, right? No cap at all. But when you see crime and you kick against it, no matter the situation, the pressure, the oppression, you stand and say, no, I am not a part and parcel of this thing. It already defines whom you are. You don't need to explain yourself. And that's why it takes people, like-minded people like myself and other true Nigerian citizens to know and understand why South Africans most times act and behave the way they are. Like, let them just be, because they are different. Like, everything speaks volume on the positive and on the path of justice. I can go on and on, but for the sake of time, let me just draw the curtain here, because At this point, I'm sick and tired of the oppression, trespass from other countries to South Africans. Can we just really, at this point, allow South Africans be? Allow them express themselves. Allow them act and behave like humans. They are humans like us. Enough of the oppression. Enough already. Nigerians who are there, going there for the wrong reasons, is an addition to their pain and their complaint, like the challenge they will be having. Other country citizens who are going there for the wrong reason, it's a pain in their neck. Can we, at this point, just stop? Right? And let's draw the curtain here. And if you have anything to say as a citizen of any country, whether Nigeria, South Africa, any country, just leave your thoughts, your opinion in the comment section constructively and respectfully. Let's be guided. The comment section is being regulated by YouTube policies. So definitely, I am just trying to be in the best shape and form to put my emotions together at this point, because left with me, with the way things are going, it's no longer funny. But we'll get to the point. Like I said, more updates on Chidinma's issue will be brought to our knowledge. I am watching, and we are watching. The whole world is watching at this point to see what will become of this whole thing at the end of the day. So South Africans, keep your heads high, keep the spirit burning, and continue being united, loving, caring, humble, patient, and tolerant as always. I love and appreciate each and every one of you as much as every other country in Africa. I am with and for every country in the continent of Africa, but don't commit crime, don't do evil, don't cross the line, don't poke people where you definitely would not love it when you are being poked. Like it's been said, do to others what you would others do to you. That thing you know that you do to somebody or they do to you, you won't like it. Don't do it. There's no point, because if they do it to you, you will not like it. And that's an attitude of a narcissistic and a toxic human. We don't condone such. Let's live peacefully in oneness, love, and unity, uniting countries in Africa as one, and taking Africa, the continent of Africa, to the next level. And that is it for what we have for today's episode. Like I said, let's communicate in the comment section. To all South Africans or other African countries, I love you and I am with you. We are together in this, okay? Nigerians, we are together. There's no need for hate, rancor, and bitterness. We need to make the continent of Africa better by being truthful, non-biased, non-hypocritical, shunning all form of corruption and crime, right? And with that, I will say, do have a lovely, peaceful, a blessed, and a successful day out there, wherever you are watching me on the Stable of Life of an African Woman. And I will see you in my next one. Peace out. Mwah.